sometimes you gotta, step away, breathe, assess the situation, and then come back to it. People are afraid of that. People don't want to be alone. People don't want to feel like they wasted their time. But to me, it's like, all right, if you feel like you wasted, say 2 or 3 years if y'all broke up, you want to waste another 3 to 5 years staying with that person, there's no real growth, like, you know? We actually met in the club. I was DJing at this place called Stadium, and she was the bartender actually. So we kind of had a conversation in the midst of that day because I needed something from the bar basically. And she was actually already in a relationship, so she wasn't even feeling me for real. She was just like, come get your drink and go. And we just kind of like kept in contact through socials, and once things kind of got rocky on her side, we started hanging out. And before we know, we decided we make it serious, and we were together for about 3 years. We had some things in common. She was from New York, I was from New York, so we reminisced about things growing up, what we could relate to, and we just kind of spoke the same language. Up north has a certain language, certain vibe to it, and we just spoke to that, and that's where we really hit off. And she had personality, could make me laugh, and she just wasn't boring. It was definitely way beyond the physical, for sure. I had to let her know, like, I'm not playing any games, like, it's just me and you. I know, we were not as, how would I say it? We wasn't super checking for each other as far as what we were doing outside of us hanging out, but I'm at a point where I don't want to hang out with anybody else, I mean, when you know, and just in case it feels cloudy, I'm like, man, let me put my foot down now so there's no gray area, you know what I mean? Because I felt like she was somebody that I didn't want to lose to somebody else, or me just messing around and not being direct on what my intentions were. I mean, I think honestly, from my side of it, I thought I was dealing with somebody that was in the same industry as me, so they would be, a little bit more susceptible as the things that go on in the industry. So I didn't think, insecurities would come out as often, as consistent as it did. And I just felt like I did enough on my side, reassurance-wise, to show her that we were, together, and it was just me and her. And it just came to be a little bit too much. And once one person reacts, the other person reacts, and before you know it, it gets tiring. And I think we just was at a point where we wasn't willing to fight for each other anymore. Well, I know I was at my point where I was like, man, if this is the future, I don't know if I can do this for the rest of my life, because 2, 3 years, she's probably thinking very long term, and I had to consider it as well. And I'm like, I don't know, I felt like we got to a rocky point where we couldn't recover from. Sometimes you gotta, step away, breathe, assess the situation, and then come back to it. People are afraid of that. People don't want to be alone. People don't want to feel like they wasted their time. But to me, it's like, all right, if you feel like you wasted, say 2 or 3 years if y'all broke up, you want to waste another 3 to 5 years staying with that person, there's no real growth, like, And I guess, from early, I kind of saw little things that showed that, that person was a little bit more emotional towards certain things compared to myself. And I guess I just still wanted to work through it and see if we, can get past those things. Everything was good the first 3 months, 6 months, this, that, third, but you gotta understand, the more time feelings get involved, then things become more difficult. Then you start finding out things that you didn't know mattered to that person, and they find vice versa. So it was just very telling, I should say. And when it comes down to it, she was more emotional about things than I was. That's what it comes down to. And I felt like, if we're together day in, day out, we're taking trips, we're public, the little things that you see when we're working, or the little things that I see when we're working, I'm not gonna bring that up because I know I'm coming home to you. I know who I'm with, this, that, and the third. To me, that was just that simple. It was just black and white. But for her, whatever her thought process was, she didn't like that. She wanted more of somebody that was, kind of like the president. You can't reach the president. You know what I'm saying? You can't get to the president. You're gonna have to go through Secret Service and all that. It was kind of like that. And it's like, as a DJ, there's no way that's possible. People want requests, people want birthday shout outs, people want to be close to the DJ. You're a bartender, you're behind the bar, you got a separation. It's not the same thing. So it was a lot of trying to compromise and it just didn't work out the way we wanted to. I think number one is patience. Just understanding, your partner and understand what's, for me, the emotions that come with a woman, and that not trying to necessarily understand it, but just try to, at least be there or hear that person before you just rule them out. So I feel like that was something that I really learned, just patience. Like, okay, she's being a brat, but in 5 minutes she's gonna be fine. So let's not even escalate it. Let's see what she's talking about, what's going on, and she'll be fine. And then as well as just, trying to be emotionally there for somebody. So if it's, telling that person you miss them or telling you love them, even if it's every day or every other, or when you get off the phone, those little things, and I think that comes down to your love languages, and then for me, it was, quality time and physical touch. Those are my main love languages. But like words of affirmation and things like that wasn't really my strong point. I felt like I showed you I loved you more than me telling you every day or having to reassure you. I would never in a relationship where I had to do that. So it was a little uncomfortable for me. And she appreciated words of affirmation and things like that. And somebody that was a little bit more vulnerable. But, to me, growing up, I didn't really have that as a lot in my household. So it was kind of rough, just trying to understand why she needed it so much and why I had to give it. And I kind of, try to compromise as much as I could, but it was definitely something that took me out of my comfort zone. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've been doing now, being more, emotionally there and verbally confident about certain things, about my feelings, and actually before, just rushing like, oh no, she's trying to change me or control me, yada, yada, yada. Let me actually listen and see where she's coming from. And it just depends on the person you're dealing with, because if that person doesn't mind having a conversation, everything can be worked out. People will let the conversation go for a little bit, then the emotions turn into, I'm upset, I'm frustrated, and before they express that, they, let it out in different ways where then now I don't want to hear you because I feel like you're talking to me, But if I didn't go through those few relationships, I feel like I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Wow. I would tell my younger self to date less women. Now, don't get me wrong. Dating women and going out and being social and having girlfriends and flings and stuff, it's cool, no problem. But at the same time, I think it's kind of distracting. And I just feel like if I had put that energy somewhere else, it would just better suit me. I'm in a great space, that I'm in now, career-wise, things like that. But I just feel like those moments could have been put towards greater things. So I would say definitely date less women as far as not as quantity. I'm talking more quality. And I would probably, as far as love, I guess I would tell my younger self to be more open to it. And I guess when I was younger, I kind of felt like relationships and love was almost like a distraction in a way. And I feel like I should tell my younger self to change that mindset. Because you never know, once you have, the right partner, it can help you with all kind of things in your life, and it can really transcend what you're trying to do because you have, that person that's gonna be there for you, help you. So I think that's what I would do, tell them.